Hey, my name is Noriana, and in this video I want to talk to you about why belly breathing, and in particular automatic belly breathing, is so important to achieve in order to maintain homeostasis and a sense of underlying calm throughout your day. Now, do me a favor and stop whatever it is you're doing and just take a moment to tune in to your body, noticing without changing anything where your breath is centered and or concentrated. Where do you feel in your torso that the breath is moving the most? Do you feel it more in the chest? Do you feel it more in the belly? Just take a moment to notice. So if you're like most people, and I live here in America, and I would say most Americans, I'm not so sure about the rest of the world, but definitely in America, it's very common that people end up just, subconsciously, as we breathe throughout the day, what does our body do with our breath? And most people are breathing from the chest, more of a shallow, kind of rigid, not fully oxygenating breath. So before I go any further, let me just back up, because I too used to be one of those people. It was in 2008, I was doing a month-long yoga teaching intensive, to become a yoga teacher. And at some point during that training, I realized, oh shit, like I'm just noticing my automatic breathing is happening much lower. It's happening in my diaphragm, it's happening in my belly. And ever since then, my body has adjusted and adapted. And on a daily basis, I'm just naturally breathing from the belly, which induces an underlying sense of peace and calm, as opposed to when I'm just gonna switch over real quick in this video just to demonstrate. When I switch my breath to breathing more shallowly in the chest, I immediately feel more of a sense of anxiety and panic, and I just feel like I'm not getting enough oxygen. And so most people, unfortunately, maybe you're one of those people, you're feeling maybe this underlying sense of anxiety or stress, or like, I can't get enough because I'm like literally not getting enough oxygen. So it's important, like one of the biggest hacks I could really kind of like harp on this YouTube world is get your automatic breathing to switch from chest breathing down to belly breathing, and it's going to make a world of difference in your overall anxiety levels, stress levels, ability to think clearly. Your oxygenation levels are going to, I don't know about skyrocket, but they're definitely going to improve, which thereby improves your overall level of well-being and health, digestion. I mean, the benefits really go on, and that's just like going day-to-day automatic belly breathing. Now there's a whole other list of deep breathing benefits where you take 10 minutes, 20 minutes once a day, a few times a week, to do some deep breathing, more meditation type exercises, and that would also be amazing. But what I'm talking about in particular is the automated breathing, and we want to switch that from chest breathing to belly breathing. Okay, so let me go on another little tangent. I'm sure most of you have seen babies when they come out their mother's womb. They automatically breathe from the belly. You'll always see infants and small kids are using the body as nature intended for optimal use. At some point during most children's evolution, because we are socially adaptive creatures and we're learning constantly, subconsciously and consciously, from the tribe or the environment around us, and because most adults typically, historically, have been chest breathers, at some point during our young childhood lives, we tend to switch. I don't know how, but it just switches from the natural organic belly breathing to chest breathing, and then we continue that breathing pattern throughout our lives, and it just creates all sorts of issues. Now, another point I want to bring up is that notice when you run, right, or you're scared, or you're watching a scary movie, or you're feeling really anxious, or even when sorry, I'm outside and there's all these things kind of making me itchy. When you're watching a movie and actors are scared in that movie, notice how they're breathing, right? Right, it's like so much in the chest, and this style of breathing is important. So I'm not trying to diss it. It definitely has its place, especially when we're doing running and any type of physical activity. The breath tends to move a little more shallow, a little more quickly to keep up with the cardiovascular system, yada yada, and all that. But it also happens when we are triggered from just say a normal calm state into a more activated and or maybe even like alert state. We're going into perhaps even fight or flight. There's various grades of that, but the breath will shift depending on the where you are on the nervous system scale, basically. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that in a more fight or flight or survival situation, or like a situation where you need to run away from the predator or save yourself somehow, or even like pay the taxes or whatever it is in our modern world, the body will automatically shift into fight or flight, therefore also change the breathing from more of a belly breath, if you had that before, into more of a chest breathing. So the reason that's important is because if you're living your day-to-day and you're not in a stressful situation and you should just be more calm and easygoing, just taking care of life, but you're breathing in a more shallow way, this is signaling to your body, turn on that sympathetic fight or flight nervous system response. So just by your automatic breathing patterns, you are triggering certain nervous system responses. It's pretty amazing. But I don't know if I can harp this point enough that we really, the biggest thing that we can do to help create a sense of calm and well-being in our body is to work on shifting that automatic breathing from the chest down to the belly. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so to talk a little bit more about how to do that. So the diaphragm is the main breathing muscle, and it's pretty thin and more like an umbrella, or better yet, a jellyfish type shape. And it rests right on top of the abdominal cavity, separating the upper thoracic cavity from the lower thoracic cavity. And it has a few holes in it, allowing some veins, arteries, even the vagus nerve to flow through and kind of get massaged by the action of the pumping of the diaphragm moving up and down. So as you inhale, the diaphragm actually contracts and pushes down, also thereby creating a little bit of a vacuum kind of pressure, allowing air to filter in through the throat into the chest and fill up the lungs. And then as you exhale, the diaphragm will basically relax but move back up into a not contracted position and allow all that air to be pressed out. Now, because the diaphragm is resting right on top of all of the abdominal organs, as you inhale and it contracts down, what happens? I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. Because it's resting on all of those organs, you need to make a little bit of space, ideally, for that diaphragm to move down. So as you inhale, you're creating space, moving all of those abdominal organs out of the way so that the diaphragm actually has somewhere to go down to. And then as you exhale, you contract all of those abdominal organs, however intensely you wish to do that, and then you push all of that excess air back out. So hopefully that makes sense. As you inhale, goes down, exhale, contract. So we want that muscle to be working, pumping. So not only are we going to be getting the benefits of, you know, calming the nervous system down. We're going to be getting the added benefits of stimulating the veins, the arteries that are running through there, and the vagus nerve, helping to tone and strengthen the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what is really responsible for keeping us in a more calm state. And I'll do another video explaining parasympathetic, sympathetic, but that's basically what you need to know for today's video. So let's just do a quick little exercise if you'd like, and join me. So as you inhale, imagine the air coming in through the nose and just going as deep down as you can. Imagine the air filling up the bottom of your torso. So the bottom of your torso is actually the pelvic floor. So as you inhale, can you imagine that the air rushes all the way down and hits the pelvic floor? And then as you exhale, can you feel or imagine, pretend that the air from the pelvic floor is rushing up and coming out, back out through the nose. Good. And then go ahead and place your hand on top of your belly, maybe right above the belly button. And as you breathe in, see if you can feel that area move. And try that a few times. Good. And then place your hands on your ribs. Same thing, as you breathe in, can you get your side ribs to move out? And then back in, feeling the expansion and contraction. Good. And then let's see if we can put all of that together. You can keep your hand on your belly or not, whatever feels comfortable to you. And as you breathe in, you're gonna feel the air rushing down, hitting the bottom of your pelvic floor, and then just continuing to expand up as it pushes the abdominal cavity out, forward and back, and side to side. So you're getting this three-dimensional push. If you can feel the bottom of the pelvic floor kind of giving way, and then the front and the back and the side to side. It's a little more advanced, so if you don't feel it right away, just definitely keep practicing. And then as you exhale, just feel everything shrinking back down, coming back to center, essentially. Another way of thinking about this would be just that you've got, say, a sphere or a ball right above the belly button in the area of the solar plexus. And as you inhale, you just want to feel that ball radiating in all directions like a little mini sun, right? So it's not just a forward and backwards motion. It's also side to side, it's also up to down. It's really, really three-dimensional, 360 degrees. So just see if you can try that real quick. Breathing in all directions and then expanding back down. So as you exhale, there is some ab movement, there is some ab contraction that's really helping to push all that stale air out of the throat, out of the lungs, either through the mouth or through the nose. Good. So that's all I really want to go over today. I'm trying to keep this video on the shorter side. But yeah, hopefully this helps kind of break down why we want to shift that breath from a shallow, more rapid, kind of sympathetic, fight or flight, stressed out chest breath to a more grounded, relaxed, centered, whole belly breath. Oh, and a few things in order to achieve this, I would recommend practicing, like consciously practicing belly breathing as frequently as you can throughout the day. Some people like to, just do 10 minutes in the morning. That's great, and I would highly recommend that. And I would also say, if you can do 10 minutes in the morning, great. If you can also, set a timer, a really great timer to use for such a project would be called Mind Bell app. I'll link that in the description below. But you can set it to just randomly dong these singing bowl sounds. And so anytime you hear those sounds, I can remind you, oh, let me pay attention to my breath and go back to belly breathing. So the more frequently you can practice tuning your awareness back to the belly and breathing diaphragmatically throughout the day, then the more the body is going to get used to it. And then eventually, because it's actually the more preferred method of the body to be breathing this way, eventually, whether a few weeks or a few months from now, whenever you start practicing, it's going to make that shift. So really the key is just keep practicing. Anytime you're driving and you're sitting at a traffic light or a red light, you can just remember, okay, belly breath. Let me come back to that. Practice, practice, practice. Anytime you get stressed out, belly breath. Anytime you're in the bathroom, belly breath. Anytime you're showering, belly breath, right? You can have these certain set marks throughout the day to help remind you to practice. For me, it took less than a month in the yoga teacher training. I don't know about other people how long it usually takes, but be patient, be persistent, and eventually it will switch. And I am curious to hear from you, if you do try this, how your stress levels then end up being, after your body has acclimated to belly breathing. Do you feel less stressed, less like anxious overall throughout the day? I know I definitely have noticed a big difference, so curious to hear your side of things. So thank you so much. Definitely share this video if you found it informative, and I would love your subscription. I'm definitely a small channel just starting out, so definitely love all the support, and keep up the good work, folks. See you around.